The race is about to start. The drivers have come from all over the world to risk life and limb here on the circuit at Brands Hatch. And of course, they're all desperate to win. Only one of them's never raced before. He first sat in a racing car only a few months ago. For Tim Davey, this race is the big time. Tim Davey's 24. He's a pupil barrister with one more exam to go before he takes the job lined up for him with a law firm in the Temple. But in his heart, what he's always wanted to do is have the chance to race cars.
I've wanted to be a racing driver since I can remember. I've taken to Brands Hatch to sit at Paddock Bend grandstand with my parents when I was literally just sitting on their knee, and I think it's great fun.
What stopped you from making an effort earlier then?
I had a fair amount of parental opposition in terms of, oh, don't be ridiculous. It takes a lot of money to go motor racing, and it's one of these things, it's always been a dream, and dreams often don't become realities.
He was given a go-kart as a little boy, and now most weekends he takes his girlfriend Anita and his mother to watch him race them. A lot of successful racing drivers started out this way, and Tim's very good indeed at it. He's in the British team. He's won races all over Europe. But in no way are these racing cars. Brands Hatch have said they'll give him the chance to race Formula Fords, but only if he's good enough. Karting has its hazards, but it's not half as dangerous as racing cars.
Yes, you realise the danger there, and obviously you have to give it a certain amount of thought. But I'd much rather do what I want to do until I'm, say, 30, and then finish at the end of it. Be able to say, well, at least I did what I wanted, rather than until I'm 60 or 70, and turn around and say, oh, I wish I'd been a racing driver.
But surely one of the things that you're going to feel when you actually go in for the race is scared, isn't it?
Oh, yes. Actually, I'd be petrified. You must be, really. But I don't think it's the danger element. I think it's probably the nervousness, perhaps like a first night. You might not do well. You might get beaten. And you don't want that to happen.
Brands Hatch. Today, the bosses of the training school are going to try him out to see if he's good enough to learn to race. Tim, may I introduce Brian Jones, who runs the training school?
How do you do, Tim? Come in.
The chief coach, Tony Lanfranchi.
How do you do? Tony Lanfranchi, vastly experienced racing driver, and he's going to be your chief instructor during the course, if you make the grade today, that is. But before anybody out on the circuit, obviously there are some disciplines that have to be explained, some technique, and lots of other things that we need to put you in the picture with. So if you'd like to come and sit down over here, then we'll start the briefing. Best of luck to you, Tim.
Thank you.
As I was saying, Tony has driven everything from Formula One.
The schoolboy dreams about the excitement have landed Tim right back in the classroom. These are the people who'll groom him for the race, if they accept him.
The first thing we try to do is to straighten it out as much as possible.
The first time he goes out on the track, it's with one of the instructors driving, showing him what he'll have to do. They're not going to risk his life or their cars.
Very easy way of, very easy pace of going off.
Then, at last, he's allowed the moment he's been waiting for, of handling the real thing. This is the type of car, a Formula Ford 1600, that he'll be driving in his big-time race on this very circuit in a few months' time. It's all quite new to him.
Got a maximum drag limit of 4,000, and gears are first, second, third, and fourth. Okay?
Okay, Tim, I'm going to go up in a tower, and we'll watch you from there and try and assess your driving, all right? Cheers, Tim. Thank you.
They've given him a speed limit because they want to see he can handle this very powerful machine.
He's not doing too badly for his first couple of laps, Brian.
Not a bad line through bottom bend there.
A little bit wide up there. Nothing that can't be put right within, you know, a few personal instructions. We should have him. That's not bad at all. That's quite good.
I wonder if he'll want to go over the top on the revs, if he'll get too much of the edge. He's nicely within the revs at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah, very late in gear change. Very late on gear change. Nice, smooth. He's confident. You can see he's quite confident. In fact, he might be a bit overconfident.
Yes, that's what I meant about staying within the revs. We might just find we got to cool his ardour a bit with the yellow flag later on. There's a professional touch. Yes, hand in the air, which signals he's coming into the pit road, and I like that. That shows he's got a basic interest in the sport and
Has learned something about it, or knows what to do. Yes, nice. Yeah. Very nice indeed.
How did you enjoy that?
It was fantastic.
Were there any surprises?
It was, I think, probably harder than I'd expected.
In what way?
In trying to keep an eye on all the instruments, keep the rev limits what it should be, and change gear at the right time. At the same time, trying to keep it on the right line. The whole thing, it was 100 things hitting you at once that you're trying to think about at the same moment.
Even in those little 5 laps you did there, the initial 5 laps, you were starting, you could see the confidence in you coming out, you know? Yeah. And that's got to be kept, because the car is, you know, it's got 100 brake horsepower's worth of power, and you're one little tiny man. Yeah. So that's a lot stronger than you are. You've got a long, long way to go, and we've got a lot of things to teach you, which we're going to do if you listen to us. All right?
Oh, you bet.
Silverstone, the day before the British Grand Prix, and Tim watches the world's top drivers practicing: Lauda, Andretti, Scheckter, Villeneuve. He hopes to pick up some advice, first from Emerson Fittipaldi, twice world champion, who invites him into his caravan.
Oh, today is one of these days that you won't forget that exist, that happen in motor race. Really frustrating.
Do you think you'll improve tomorrow?
I can improve about a second, but still be very slow in comparison to the quick guys. And it's really very frustrating. Motor race is a sport that you have to get used with some very happy, glamorous day and a lot of frustration sometimes. And I'm used to that. It's very hard on the person, on the character.
On the good days, can you explain to us exactly what it is that makes you love this sport so much?
Oh, I think it's first the feeling of competition. You know, to be on top and to be winning and to be one of the best. I think, like any type of sport, it's good. It's the good feeling of competition. Plus, driving racing car quick around any track is a fantastic sensation that we feel. You feel on a smaller way on a kart, and on a Grand Prix car it's just on a bigger way, and it's a fantastic sensation to be free, to be by your own. When we leave the pit, it's like if we switch off from the world. We are by ourselves, just on the track, doing what I have to do by myself, everything. I'm disconnected from the world.
Tim's just starting. Is there any advice you can give him?
Yeah, I think the best advice I can give to Tim is the same my father gave to me when I started racing. He said, if you want to go racing, you go. You must first take serious and must be dedicated to the sport a lot, because then you really can give everything out of yourself to the sport. And you must know your limit and the limit of the car always, because it's a very dangerous sport.
Fittipaldi's wife, Maria Elena, travels with him.
We're wondering how you take the strain of all this. At the beginning it was very difficult because I'd never seen a racing car in my life when I met Emerson. And then we came over to England, we got married, and the day we got married we went to a race. It was our honeymoon. So it was a big big shock at the beginning, you know, all the noise and all the atmosphere and everything. And frightening too. And then after that, each race that went by, I was getting a little bit more used to it, more used to the noise, and then I decided to participate a little bit in the race, what I meant, you know, working a little bit, not just be sitting there like a sack of potatoes. So we started doing timekeeping. So not all the time sitting in the boxes and thinking, oh, what's happening? I wonder if he's going to crash, you know, worrying about the danger. But it's very difficult. It's a very, everybody imagines we have a very exotic life, that the women, you know, are all, you know, have a wonderful life. And it's not like that. We have the ups and downs. And especially lately, we've had lots of downs.
With Emerson's racing, do you have any good luck charms or any little habits that you always say something before he goes out or anything like that?
Pé na tábua, put your foot on the pedal, and fé in Deus, faith in God.
Thanks very much, I remember it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It works sometimes.
Niki Lauda, twice world champion, severely injured, miraculously still alive.
Have you got any good advice for me?
Crash my little cars. Will the sponsor get upset with you when you crash their cars?
That's all that worries you, is it?
Yeah, right. The beginning is very important because you have to go quick, prove that you're quick, and then don't do any damage to the cars. It means you're cheap for a team. You crash cars all the time for the team says, listen, the guy costs us too much money.
Mario Andretti, former world champion.
They make small but very decisive steps. As soon as you feel that you've pretty much conquered that particular class, obviously you got to go for something more demanding.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, your end goals should always be very ambitious ones.
Could be world champion.
That's right.
Jody Scheckter, current world champion.
You came over from South Africa and sort of virtually cleaned up in Formula 4.
Well, I crashed more than I cleaned up. I think the first race I did quite well, and then we used to go to the new circuits every 2 weeks or every week, and half an hour to learn the circuit and qualify, and it was just too short. We used to normally crash. I was near the front anyway. I didn't enjoy Formula 4, actually.
Do you worry about the danger and about crashing very much?
No, I think you've got to be aware of the safety, but when you're in the car, you're really thinking of how to get it around faster. To such a degree, you don't think of anything else.
Is there any particular secret in how you get the thing around quickly?
No, I think every circumstance, every corner, every set of tyres, every car setting, you have to work as a physical thing to get it around faster. I used to go to a circuit and just drive fast. And then I used to get to a certain stage. Then I used to go back and start to think about, now where can I actually think to go faster? Because a lot of it came naturally, that you have to accelerate a little less there or go in slower there. And it's not just people think you just go in and put your foot down, because that doesn't work. It's a lot of technical little bits and pieces.
Can you sum up for us exactly what it is you like so much about racing? I know it's difficult.
The money.
The money? Is that
That's what everybody hates to say.
Is there an awful lot of money?
Is there an awful lot?
Is there an awful
No, not enough.
Is that what you like about it so much, Mr. Villeneuve?
No, I love motor racing, and well, money is nice, but it's not the only reason. No.
Can you tell us what the others are?
Well, just because I plainly sex, so that's the only reason. Sex.
What's so much of that about?
No, not enough either.
Green flag, car number 12. Green flag, car number 12.
For every driver who becomes a star, there are hundreds who haven't made it, working in routine jobs on the racetracks. Tim's teacher today, for the first day of his training course, has to give lessons in saloon cars to help to finance his racing. He shows Tim the trade secrets of the Brands Hatch circuit.
Now remember always when you're approaching the circuit, keep to the right-hand side until you're around the first corner, just in case somebody comes down very fast on the straight. On this track there's an orange line there which you keep to the right-hand side of it. Now the most important thing about this session is learning the lines. Druids is a very slow corner, so it's pointless rushing into the corner. It's better going in fairly reasonable speed so that you can come out to the corner fast. it's all a matter of practice, going round the track time after time.
Then, out on his own in the single-seater, Tim has to put it all into practice. He's got 4 months before the race. He has to do the best lap times he can.
He's going in a bit too tight there.
Yeah, well, that's... Now he's holding it a bit tight coming out as well. And he's very early off the power there, very early off the power. He's tight again there, you see. He's not bad round there. Not good either, but he's not bad. Come in, Tim. Now then, let's have a word with you about what you've been doing today. Now, you've done these times and done them easy. Your lines, considering you've been out already twice with Tim, his lines aren't that good, are they?
I think I was I was sort of overcompensating. This morning I wasn't coming out wide enough.
No. You can always look on the edge of the corner, mate. That's where God is. If you fall off, then it's up to him what happens after that. I was a bit disappointed because you've done a bit with Tim now and your lines weren't as yet as good as they should be. But we hope they'll come. We hope. If they don't, you know, we're in trouble.
Tony Lanfranchi lives as many racing drivers do, looking after himself in a bachelor flat. At his place in Paddington, he tells Tim about his racing career. He's been a success, but never a star.
I've never really been a dedicated person. I'm dedicated to enjoying myself, and that's about that. And really to become world class in anything, I think whether it's golf or tennis or whatever, you've got to dedicate yourself, you know, and I won't do that. I like a pint of beer and I like music and dancing and things.
Were you ever made a big offer that would have meant you had to be dedicated?
Yeah, I got an offer once, would you believe, from Ferrari to go and drive their cars. And they wouldn't send me the, I think it was 70 quid to get the Modena. And so I told them to stuff it, you know. It's stupid now when I look back and I think, oh God, I could have been earning all that money. But for what? You know, it's not really. Colin Chapman once told me he'd give me a drive if I gave up women and beer. I mean, what was the guy on about?
Can I ask you a little about accidents? Have you had many?
And you know, the only time I've ever been frightened in a car, I once turned over a single-seater at Brands Hatch, funny enough, and as it turned over, the water tank split behind, that's boiling water, and that poured down my slip arm, and I was sure I was on fire. And I was upside down. You can't do any of these superhuman feats of anything either. I mean, all these people who say when you're faced with death you can lift this, it's nonsense. You just lie there and I think I'm burning to death. All that comes out are falsetto screams. Please get me out. That's about it. And you're scared. You know, and an hour later you're driving the car around and you think, well, that happened to me again. You know, that's me. I'm all right. I've cracked that one. But you don't, I don't know. I've never really been hurt that badly. As I say, I've broken a few ribs and been upside down a few times.
Do you find it slows you up for a short while once you've had a
no.
So you can get straight out in the car and go equally quickly the same day?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter.
What quality would you like to see in him?
Stickability. You know, just stick at it. Keep at it. If he believes right deep inside him that he's got the ability. But it's no good being a journeyman racing driver who's, you know, making £3.10 a week or something when he can be a barrister. Think of that.
We're driving on the high street.
Bruce Evans and the skid pan.
Off the curb right in front of us. You know, just back. There she is, there, right in front of us. We slam our foot hard on the brakes and tried to steer away from her. And if that's where she was standing, she'd be rather worse for wear. The initial answer to this particular problem is, as we've already explained in the lecture, in cadence braking, pumping the brakes. I'll just do one straight run for you, so that you can, in fact, watch my feet and hands and see what goes on. Brake, off the brake, back on again, back on. Speed it up a little bit towards the end. And you can see the whole thing feels a lot safer. As with the first run, we'd lost our steering completely. But now, with some cadence braking utilised, we can in fact steer the car. But just to show you how effective the steering is when you take your foot off the brakes, I'm going to drive onto the skid pan again and lock the wheels up. I'm going to put full right lock on, and then at the last minute I'm going to take my foot off the brakes. Lock the wheels up, car sliding, full right lock on, I then take my foot off. Okay, away you go. I'll tell you when to brake again. Stop as quickly as you possibly can.
In a straight line.
In second. That's it. Good. Now. QED. You didn't stop in time, but you were able to steer and avoid. Okay? I'm going to go through a spin now without any further sort of preamble. And watch carefully what happens. My hands and feet particularly. Don't worry too much about what's going on outside the car. And we'll be using the handbrake to simulate the spin, okay? Here we go. So, back over the other way, and as the car comes around, you keep the steering the same way. And that helps throw the front of the car back slightly to the right and prevents you going around any further. And then as it starts to go back, you can then strain it up, of course, and continue on and win the race. If it takes sort of 3.5, 4 seconds, and you're leading the race by 5 or 6 seconds, then obviously you might go on.
The important thing, now, when you're going sideways, you never think of putting brakes on. It's never a situation where
no, because once you've got the wheels locked up, the car will continue travelling in the direction it's going. Not the direction it's pointing, but the direction the car is moving.
There's never a situation where you want that to happen.
No, you'd never ever want to go carrying on sideways. You either want to bring the car back in line or make it face the way you've just come. Okay, away you go. Straight line. Now, flick it to the left, off the brake, back the other way, back the other way. Far too late, you saw what happened.
Yeah.
But it's round
I got a 180.
That's it.
Tried to hold it at that moment. I almost went for the brakes.
We did notice. Right, ease slightly to the right, to the right. Now, flick it to the left, back the other way, hold it there and wait. Now, that's good. One thing I should remind you to do, of course, and that is not to practice this on the way home.
Christine is a former Savile Row tailor who now fits out the top drivers.
Oh, well.
Do they all look like that underneath?
Yes. It's really worth a look, isn't it? I think maybe, I was going to say, maybe we could go up a size on the top. But,
They may not be glamorous, but they do give his body a fireproof covering.
The idea I had was the British driver.
we are stuck really with red, white and blue. Now, is it as a British driver? That's not a bad colour combination. And I should think that we can make you look like a walking Union Jack. Follow the theme and we'll work out something in a moment.
Much in the way James Hunt was taken
right.
to be, you know,
that's
the English,
right.
the typical
And
Englishman.
absolutely, it captured everybody's imagination. I mean, I think really you couldn't do better than to try and emulate that.
For me, I think really, on the whole, the sport is less important than the competition, because I'm prepared to compete at anything.
James Hunt, glamour boy, jet setter and world champion, retired. Surely he misses cars.
I think cars are immensely dull. I hate cars.
Do you?
No, I've never liked cars. I mean, well, crikey, would you, if you had to spend the first 3 years of your adult career lying underneath one with no tools, none of the correct tools and things, I couldn't afford it. So, you know, I was spending my money on the bits and pieces of the car. I didn't know anything about cars. It's purely a means to an end. I mean, a car, for me, this isn't true of a lot of drivers. Most drivers have an interest in cars and things, but I mean, for me, it has as much emotional attachment as a tennis racket has to a tennis player.
So could it have been another sport?
Yes, sure. And you know, from the safety point of view, I greatly regret that it wasn't, because, I mean, if it wasn't dangerous, if I was a golfer, I'd be going till I was 45, or whenever, till I stopped enjoying it.
You've won a great many races in your career. Have you any advice on how I can win mine?
To my mind, the most important thing in motor racing, and the easiest thing to forget, and the thing that most people when they start forget, is that even with short races as applies, although obviously not as much to a 10-lap club race or 20-lap club race, but they tend to think that the race is won from the moment, or has to be won the moment that the green light goes on. And of course, that doesn't happen. Therefore, they feel under enormous pressure to be in the best possible position. And that's the time to make mistakes. You have to remember always that even if you're running fourth at the end of the first lap on a race, even on a short one, there's still plenty of time for the leaders to push each other off or break down and things like that.
Sounds a little bit like you're saying not so much win at all costs, but make sure you're there at the end of the race.
Yeah, but the essential thing is to finish. And always. That also helps to keep you alive and safe and things like that. But, you know, you can't win a motor race unless you're in it.
Well, to most of you, this is your first ever motor race. I'd like to make one or two relevant points about...
Brands Hatch Racing School holds private saloon car races for its pupils to get the feel of competition. Tim's going in for one, up against Mark Thatcher and other trainees with racing experience.
Which brings us on to the main point. Touching, hitting, overriding curbs, spinning off, trying to destroy yourself or the world in general, we will not have it. Okay? Any of these points and we are likely to, or most certainly will, black flag you and bring you in. Race over. Enjoy yourselves and please come back with us praising you and not moaning at you. All right? See you later.
It's Tim's first race. They're all more experienced than he is. He's never even had to fight for road space before. He's had it all to himself. He's off to a surprisingly good start, in the lead at the first corner, Paddock Bend. Mark Thatcher, with only yards between them, sticks close behind. Tim's still in the lead, with Mark Thatcher hot on his tail. But as they come into Druid's hairpin bend, Mark goes for the inside. Tim's now in second place, but he's not going to let it stay that way. He fights back.
He's much quicker round Paddock. Time on him, Johnny. 53.32. Big problem with him. I thought he didn't have enough aggression, and he's showing that. He's showing he's got aggression, if nothing else. And he's got a lot of talent. He's got a lot of feel. And he's going to win a race. What's wrong with that? Good on ya!
Right, the result of race number 3 was first Tim Davey in 7 minutes 35.1. Second,
his first race, and he's won it. His mother was there.
Did Tim ask you to come down today, or did you just
No,
take
I
it
just
in?
came on the spur of the moment. I wasn't going to, but I don't know. I just had to get the feel of it and see how scared I'd be.
And were you?
Yes, probably more so than Tim.
Did you enjoy watching the race?
No, I was pleased when it was over.
How about that, Tim?
Well, it's a start.
Well done. What did it feel like?
It was a bit untidy to start with because Mark Thatcher was very close, and I think he had a bit more experience than I did. So I think I was probably lucky I got the jump on him at the start and didn't lose too much on mistakes early on.
You didn't seem to be making any, did you?
I was making a lot, yeah, a hell of a lot.
Right, boys and girls. To begin with, very big congratulations on Tim. You won. I said you were going to finish 5th yesterday, and you won. Where's Howard Kirkham?
Yeah.
You are a... No, I'm not bothered about that. You make mistakes, Howard.
Yeah, like what?
And you make mistakes... Like what, if you don't know? I mean, you're in problems. Right. If you really don't know where you were sliding it sideways and losing speed, then you're in problem. You could have been there. You could have beaten him. Maybe.
Yes, I know. I know. I left the braking too late, right? Right? Okay, I know that. Yeah, going home.
He doesn't really like being told he's not doing too well. And Mark Thatcher, Mark. Realise something. Number one, you did the fastest lap at that race, which wasn't... You did the fastest lap, and if you ever do fastest lap and finish second, there's something wrong with you, or finish third, there's something wrong with you. How are you trying to overtake on the inside, going up in the clearways? I mean, you know a little bit more about that. You've done a few more laps. The guy's not slow, this Tim Davey or whoever he is in front of you. You've got to think. You've got to keep thinking all the time. You're faster here, you're slower there. Get him when you're where you're faster. Don't try where he's quite quick. A good race because the whole lot. There's no bumps on any cars. Nobody did anything totally stupid, except Howard, who doesn't like being told that. Yeah. You, for instance. All right, you win this race. You go into Druids on 2 separate occasions, totally locked up the front end. Yeah. Just trying too hard. Tim, you were trying a bit hard now and again.
Now he's done that race, Tim gets his licence to take part in a public one. Brands Hatch have decided his big-time race will be in 2 months, so now he must go flat out with no set speed limit. It takes over his life.
It's like a drug, you know, you get out of the car and all you want to do is get on and do some more and drive some more. In fact, at one stage I got hauled up because I was coming up too often and doing too many laps in one day.
Getting into a sort of lurch oversteer into the corner, and you were doing it lap after lap after lap. Sorry. You were never trying anything different. Maybe you can't at the speed you were going, but it might have been nice to lift off and go a little bit slower into the corner and come out that little bit quicker.
Yeah. I thought it was the wrong thing to do in that sort of situation where you've got the back coming out. I thought if you turn in later, it's going to come back.
Not necessarily. We're not sat out there with you. You're in the car on your own. And you've got beyond the point where you're happy with those times. Right?
Now it's lap after lap of practice, pushing himself and the car to the limit. He's doing top speeds of 130 miles an hour. He's within 4 or 5 seconds of the all-time lap record. That's how fine the line is between winning and losing.
Come along a lot better. I wouldn't say to his face, but he's a lot better than I expected he would be. He really has come good, that boy.
May I ask you on that one, why wouldn't you say it to his face? It seems to us that you give him a hard time.
That's all right, you know, if the guy can take the hard time and do it, he's going to go a lot better than a lot of people going around saying, no, aren't you wonderful, marvellous, it's all going to be easy. Because it's not going to be easy for him at all.
Do you think Tim realises that he could actually kill himself?
I hope he does. I mean, that's part of the game.
Brian?
No, I don't think he does. I genuinely think that people think that they're immortal until they have a big accident. Now, that happens in the school a lot, that guys will go on, they'll have an accident, and they suddenly wake up. It's dangerous.
Has it ever crossed your mind that you actually might kill yourself?
Really, I don't think, no. It's not the sort of thing you think about.
But you know that people do.
Yeah. It happens, but then you get killed crossing the road or flying an aeroplane or scuba diving or whatever. I think everything has elements of danger. I've heard of people playing cricket getting killed, which isn't to be flippant about it. Yes, it is a dangerous sport and it's something that you're taught, so you have to be careful with it. But at the same time, it's something I want to do. I want to do it an awful lot.
You've got to realise the most important thing in the world that you have is your life. And I know I'm scared. I mean, I'm more scared now than I was, probably.
Sterling Moss, the best-known name in British racing, had his share of terrible injuries.
I've broken my back and my legs and so on, and the essential thing is to get back as soon as you can. I think the reason for the accident is what is important. If you know it wasn't your fault, I mean, if he goes off the road because he hits oil, then he should not be as worried as if he goes off the road and he thinks, well, God, I was going too quickly. That, I think, is the important thing, because if you drive too quickly and go off the road, then you have to realise that your balance, your intelligent balance towards speed is ahead of you, and that's not good, you know. I mean, it's like going too fast, you know what I mean? Yeah. In other words, come back a little bit and always feel, well, I could have gone a bit more quickly, but it wasn't worth it. I think it's important.
Having had bad accidents and having actually lost some of your close colleagues, can you describe what drivers actually get out of it that makes them carry on when they see that it can be lethal?
Oh, yes, I mean, the lethal side, okay, I mean, it's okay, I will accept it is dangerous, but the pleasure that you get when you get into a motor car and you go round a fast corner and you can feel the car absolutely on the limit and it's just going where you want it to go. There's another guy behind, he's sitting behind me when he's experienced, and we go into the corner and we're about 15 yards ahead. And we come out and I look in the mirror, He's 17 yards ahead, and I think, boy, that's finished him. I mean, he's then going to feel so depressed that he's dropped 2 yards. He's going to say, well, you know, no way can I keep up with this guy. This is what he's going to be trying to do. You must know this. I mean, even at the start, you go into a corner, and if you can outbrake another man, that's pretty good. But you go round a corner and just feel him drop back a little bit, or have him in front and then just close up a bit, and you feel like $1 million. I mean, you really do. The payoff is so great, isn't it? There's nothing in it. I mean, it's just a yard. But that is something else. So that's male ego, pride, and that's what we race for, what I race for.
Driving quickly seems to be only half the battle nowadays, whereas it seems that in the past, driving quickly was what motor racing was about. Is that because of the money that's involved?
Yes, I think it is. The money has made it that way. It made the necessity. The development is so fast and so good that no longer is it like, I mean, you fly in a Concorde can't be like flying a Sopwith Camel.
Do you think it was better for that?
Oh, far better. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I remember when cars had to be the national colour, and that I think was terrific. I think seeing all these funny colours is very beautiful, but I think it's detrimental to the sport.
So you don't like advertising on cars? Didn't you go in for that sort of sponsorship?
No. We weren't. Just to give you an idea, when I was racing, we weren't allowed any badges. I had the word Dunlop because I raced on Dunlop tyres. But if I were racing today, my overall advertisement area would be worth $700,000. Now, in my very best year, which was 1961, my total gross income, that's gross of everything, was actually only £32,000, which was about $70,000. So 10 times I would get now for my overalls than I got then for everything. And that's how much it's changed. So I know this because I wear the BRDC badge, which I was very proud to wear. That area is worth about $40,000. That's why the drivers don't wear badges.
Amazing.
It is amazing. But that's the way it's gone. So you can look forward, I mean, if you are successful, you can come back here in a few years' time, you can buy me a good drink because you'll be making $1 million, literally, which is extraordinary, but it's true. £1 million. £1 million have been made in a year. Do you know that?
3 weeks left before the race. Tim goes to the Royale factory in Huntingdon to meet the car he's going to use in the race. This is what he was dreaming about when he was a boy. It's on loan from another former racing driver, Matthew Argenti.
Matthew Argenti, supplying the car for you. How do you like it?
It's fantastic.
It does look nearly brand new, actually, doesn't it?
I thought it was new.
No.
Look at it.
It's had several races up till now.
Yeah?
Yes.
Each car's fitted to the driver. This one has to be virtually rebuilt around Tim's body. But it's built for safety. If Tim crashes, the fiberglass body will just shatter and fall off. If he rolls over, he shouldn't be crushed. Formula Ford is a tough, close race because the cars are pretty equal in performance. It's up to the driver.
Nice tight fit. Right, you've got anything underneath you at all that's digging in?
No, that's...
Right. Well, just hold on a moment. Just see that. Is that done up? Yeah.
So I'm effectively the same seating position.
Your same seating position, except the steering wheel's been brought further forward.
And so the gear lever's been taken further away, and the pedals have been taken further away.
Tim drives the car for the first time. He's only got 1 day and 100 laps to get the feel of it, and he knows he must do better than 53 seconds a lap, or he won't come anywhere in the race. Matthew Argenti's come down to Brands to watch the car going through its paces. They want to get it as near perfection as they can.
How was it?
So gear change is very difficult to get used to.
Yeah.
Water 75. Oil has been running at 60.
You look very tired. Has it been a big effort?
No. I really feel like I could do it all over again. I think possibly my concentration is beginning to get to the point where it's going to go off. But compared to a car, it's so smooth. It's got suspension. You don't get bumped around and everything. Because you don't get bumped around, you can point it where you want. It's fantastic.
8 o'clock in the morning on the day of the big race. The car has to be inspected to make sure it's safe and strictly in keeping with the rules.
Morning. Hi, Chris.
10 o'clock, Tim's overalls arrive.
Well, there they are.
Smashing. It's great.
You didn't give me ones like that.
No. Have a look. Have a look at the back. Have a look. Go to the back.
Oh, well, that's the...
No,
of course
fitting's
they'll fit.
another problem.
There you are. The big time.
Well, after he's finished a few races, we can cut out time and put head.
11 o'clock, a most crucial part of the day, and the first stage of this race against tough professionals from all over the world. All the competitors have to go out on the track for 15 minutes of practice laps. The practice is officially timed to determine their places on the grid. It's vital that Tim gets one of the fastest laps to get a good position. But the others have all raced before. Tim has to get a good time now, or he'll have no chance.
The only thing today that matters is that I've got to win. I've got to prove myself. If I do that, then I might be able to carry on. If I don't, then I suppose it's the moment of truth, and that's the end of it. So I've got to do well. Got to win.
Yeah.
What time did they give us?
51.9.
You did it with the 15. You worked out where you're going to be on the grid?
Looks as though...
Vaguely. We think that Lawrence is going to be on pole, Roche, Williams, then some chap called Davey inside the second row.
1:30, an hour to go, and the crowds start turning up, among them Tim's mother and girlfriend. His father had told Tim he wasn't coming.
I have a lot of apprehensions, actually, at the amount of pressures here that must be on him. This is something that he so terribly wants to do and to do well, and it all depends really on the one day. I can't think it's going to help to know that Father's sitting around watching with all the other umpteen people and all the things that are going on. I personally think that he'd probably try too hard. He hasn't had the experience of a lot of motor cars racing and buzzing around him, has he? So I think he'd probably spin at the first corner or something.
2:20, 10 minutes left, and the cars are called to the pits for the final preparations.
I'm sure you will. I think you'll do well.
Only a couple of minutes now, Tim. How do you feel?
Well, a bit nervous, but take it as it comes.
2:30, 20 determined drivers set off round the track to take up their positions on the grid. The race hasn't even started yet. When this happens, you've got 50 seconds to get out. That's how long the clothing protects you. This is the kind of excitement they're all here to see. All except Tim's mother. She can do without it.
Well, let's look and see who we have got on the grid. We've got 44, Steve Roche in pole position. Alongside him, Pete Lawrence in the Royale, the yellow Royale RP24. Alongside him, Jeff Williams in number 16, the Spark.
Because he did so well at practice, Tim's got a good place. He's 5th on the grid.
Alongside Paul Jackson is Tim Davey in the steer race car. Brands Hatch Racing entered big time Royale RP26.
Red light, 10 seconds to go, and Tim's in trouble. His visor starts to steam up. He's fiddling with it. It's a bad start. First corner, and he's already dropped a place. He's 6th. Second corner, he's lying 7th. By the 4th corner, he's dropped to 9th position. Lap 2, 8 to go, and he's still in 9th position, but now he starts to fight back. 3, he takes the inside of a bend and makes up a place.
Going all right?
Yeah, if we could just teach the lad to go from the start instead of 3 laps into the race.
Did he make a bad start?
Yes, he did.
Lap 4, still at 8th, but being challenged closely from behind.
And the big time boy is 3.9 seconds, and he's going through on the inside, and Tim Davey picks up a break, but he's going to go wide.
He's 7th. 3 cars spin off in front of him. He's 4th.
He's catching him. It's 1.94 behind now. And he's catching him. He's only got 2 laps to do it. He's catching 1.4, but we're on the last lap.
Into the last bend, Tim catches up too fast with the car in front. They collide. The other car spins off the track.
Oh.
So from being right back at 9th place, as he comes up to the flag, he's done the impossible. He's come in 3rd.
He'll have all the adrenaline going now.
He drove brilliantly. They're waiting for him to give him his prize, but Tim's still with his car. Only 2 of the winners do the lap of honour. Tim's not there, because by his own high standards, he thinks he's failed.
Not bad anyway. No, don't worry. You did it well as you could. You had a lot of people around you and a lot of pressure on you. But don't worry about it.
All finished too quickly. But, you know, fight again another day.
From what you've seen today, how would you see his future?
Yeah, that boy, we've told him before, if he will get into it from the start, so he's racing from the minute that light changes, you'd have won that race. On it, without a shadow of doubt, you'd have won it. You drove, I would think you got fastest lap in that race. I think you did very well. For your first time in a major public race, to finish 3rd is good.
It is your first race. Are you going to carry on?
Of course. Yeah. Not like that, though.
Are you glad it's all over? Or maybe you'll have to sit through that many, many more times.
Well, I hope so, actually. No, I'd willingly do it. But because it's just what he wants, isn't it?
I think this is watching the end of a very promising law career and the beginning of a very precarious motor racing interest, perhaps.
Do you think you'll finally end up as a barrister or a racing driver?
I know which I'd like to end up as. I'm not sure which I will.
What do you think?
I'd like to end up racing cars. Any old way I can.
Tim then postponed his law exam. He's now in the middle of a big racing championship and he's well in the lead, but he can't finish. 2 weeks ago, he ran out of money.
After qualifying as a barrister, Tim Davey took up racing as a career. He started to run his own team in 1984, and this year is competing in 2 British World Sports Car Championships and Le Mans.